Hello, I'm Dr. Arthur D. Kemp, and I'm here in a very special place here in Sanford, Florida, at Keyboard Exchange International with Mr. Jim Huss, who is the president of this company, the owner, the purveyor of these fine instruments. Jim, thank you for having me here today.
Thank you for your visit, Dr. Kemp.
It's been a wonderful visit, and I've enjoyed my time here. And for my friends out here in YouTube land and those that are on Facebook that will be watching this video, could you share with us how you got started in this business, Jim?
I'll be happy to do that. In fact, it's one of my favorite subjects to talk about, Hammond organs and Leslie speakers and everything about them. But first, before I get into that, I'd just like to thank you so much for visiting and for your endorsement of what we're doing here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So as a young man, I fell in love with the sound of the Hammond organ. It became my passion to acquire one. And it was a search that I put a lot of energy into, trying to find the right instrument to play in a band. And it wasn't long before I realized I wanted a bigger one and a better one and 2 Leslies. And I got a little carried away over the years. You know, we've had literally thousands of instruments come through our shop here at Keyboard Exchange International. But I really got my big break, if you will, in business when my children were young. And I learned that renting an organ to someone like B.B. King was far more profitable than just playing it myself.
All right.
Yeah. And then we also have some really good friends overseas that contacted us and wanted to buy as many Hammond organs as we could find.
Wow.
So as a young person with a young family, that was a tremendous blessing for me and my family. Mm-hmm. But the business has grown. We're my son who's operating the camera now, and a team of younger people will be taking over. And they do a fine job. I can't take too much credit for what's going on here now because it's a team effort. We've got an excellent small group of very dedicated people. And our primary goal is to keep these organs going for the future. They, on average, are about 50 years old each.
Yes.
And there's absolutely no reason they can't be 100 years old, 200 years old. Stradivarius violins are now 300 years old.
Wow.
And I'd like everyone to put the Hammond B3 and a Leslie speaker in the same general quality category as a Stradivarius violin. They don't cost as much as a Stradivarius violin, but you have to really give Mr. Hammond and Mr. Leslie credit for developing something very unique and of top quality.
Yes.
And it's our responsibility, and I know you do a lot of repair work and you advise people on how to make some repairs, and it's our responsibility to kind of carry on the legacy that Mr. Hammond and Mr. Leslie started with inventing and creating instruments that are known all over the world as being some of the greatest instruments in the world ever made that actually produce an emotional internal response.
No question.
When you hear it, or if you're lucky enough to know how to play a little bit, there's just nothing like it.
Nothing like it.
And Arthur, what I've been saying lately is if you were a motorcycle guy, if you and I were motorcycle guys, we'd be talking about the chrome on our motorcycle and the tires.
And the sound.
And the way it sounds and the paint job and the custom things we've done. I think this is the direction that we're going with Hammond organs. We want to get them tweaked out to their maximum potential.
Yes.
So I appreciate you and the efforts that you're learning your skills to help these instruments stay maintained long term. So
thank you so much.
Once again, God bless you and your family, and thank you for your visit today.
But before we go, would you mind just giving us a sort of a brief introduction or tour of what you have in your inventory here? This is a beautiful showroom.
Okay, be happy to do that. The organ you're sitting on is one of our finest B3s. It's a real collector's item. The Leslies have brand new power amps in them. They're a matched set of 122A Leslies.
And it sounds good.
And they're consecutive serial numbers, which is almost impossible to find.
Wow.
It means they came out of the factory on the same day. We have number 165 here, which is a fruitwood B3, also called cherry wood. It's rare. I estimate there's only 1 in 25 like that compared to the walnut ones. And we'll just kind of quickly come down the whole row of B3s. Arthur, you were playing number 143
Yes,
on one
I
of your
was.
videos, and mentioned to me, and everybody I suppose could even hear, it's a little brighter sounding than some of the other ones because of the year it was made and the capacitors that are on there. It's a fabulous vintage from 1969 to 1974. They're all a little bit brighter, a little bit crisper. But there is the issue we've discussed here a little while ago about foam in the keyboards.
Yes.
And any organ you'd ever buy from Keyboard Exchange International, made from 1964 and a half to 1975, will have the foam removed and any repairs that are needed. Now, the reason, as I was explaining to you, this is so important, if the organ is ever subjected to a high humidity and hot, not climate-controlled situation, the foam in those keyboards can literally melt. And damage the keyboard wiring, which causes tremendous expense and extensive repair. So on the organs where we remove the foam, the last 10 years of production basically, we put a little sticker on the organ that says certified foam free. We also put that on the inside of the organ should a technician ever be in there and just be wondering if the work is done or not. But every organ that we sell has that certification, and we wouldn't even think of selling an organ without doing that work to prevent problems decades down the line. Now, the B3 is the most expensive of all our instruments, but we can get what we call the B3 sound from the C3 model and the A100 model. And it's like in some of our Keyboard Exchange International YouTube and Facebook and our website videos, we tell people you can get half price sound, for the B3 sound from an A100 or a C3. But again, those instruments must be maintained and restored. Every 60-year-old piece of electronic equipment that I'm familiar with really is due or overdue for an electronic internal restoration. So by doing that, our goal is to have these instruments be at least 100 years old someday. If they're 50 years old now, after a restoration here at Keyboard Exchange, there should be no reason at all why it can't be 100 years old. And like a Stradivarius violin, even older. So that answered most of your questions?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
I thank you so very much for this.
Good to see you. Dr. Kemp.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you. God bless all of you.
All right.